Okay, I've bundled two types of question together to look at here. Usually quite early on in a paper you'll get a number machine question. There's two parts to it. The first part is always if you're putting a number in on the left hand side, following the instructions through to find out what comes out the other side. And then the second part, which is a bit more tricky, is working backwards through it, starting at the output, working out what was put into the number machine. So we'll deal with the most straightforward first of all. When the input is 14, what is the output? So the key thing to remember here is at each stage to work out what the answer is before doing the next thing. So here we're putting 14 in and adding 6 to it, which gives me 20. Then I'm dividing by 4, giving me an output of 5. Okay, so at each stage evaluate and then move on. Now the rule to remember about working backwards is that when you're working backwards you're going to do the mathematical opposite to what you're being told in the box. So if we're starting with 7, the first thing we're going to do is the opposite of dividing by 4, which is multiplying by 4. So we're going that way. The first thing we're doing is 7 times 4, which is 28. Then we're going to do the opposite of that, which is subtracting 6 to give us the input. So we're going to do 28, subtract 6 is 22. Okay, so we'll rip rapidly through the rest of these number machines. Input is 14. First thing we're doing is adding 6 to give 20. This is exactly the same as the previous question, so we'll stick a line through that. Number 3. Input is 8. First thing we're doing is multiplying by 4. 4 8s are 32. Then we're subtracting 3 to give me an output of 29. Now I'm going backwards. I'm starting with 17. The first thing I'm going to do is add 3 to get 20. Then I'm going to do the opposite of timesing by 4, which is dividing by 4, to get an input of 5. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Next, input is 12. First thing I'm going to do is add 8 to get 20. Then I'm going to divide by 4 to get 5. Going backwards, output is 10. First thing I'm going to do is multiply by 4 to get 40. Then I'm going to subtract 8 to get 32. And you can always check these if you're not sure by saying, well, if my input is 32, if I add 8 to it I get 40. If I do 40 divided by 4 I get 10. I know I'm right. I know I've earned those 2 marks. Sometimes they won't give you a number machine, they'll put it in words, in context. So Janet thinks of a number, so we'll turn this into a number machine. Janet thinks of a number, that's going in. The first thing she does to a number is divide it by 6. Then she adds 10. The answer she gets coming out is 14. So it's just like the previous questions. The output is 14. We want to know what the input is. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract 10, which will give me 4. Then I'm going to multiply that by 6 to get 24. So the number that she thought of is 24. Let's check. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 4 add 10 is 14. I know I got that answer right. Further into the paper, the number machine is given in a bit more complicated way. It's given in a context and it's given as a formula in words. And the context is usually the way somebody is being paid, the way that you're hiring something, or you're buying something over a period of time. Again, these are almost entirely split into two parts. The first part would be when you're working from left to right, input to output on a number machine. The second part is a bit more complicated and you have to find something the other way. So let's take a look at this first one. Here's my formula. It's for a weekly wage. Wage, number of hours of overtime, times £15 plus the basic pay. Always put in the information you're given before doing any simplifying. So I want to find the person's wage when the number of hours of overtime is 7. So instead of writing number of hours of overtime, I'm going to write 7 times 15 plus basic pay, which is 150. Now you need to be careful when you're using a calculator to work this out. Always work out what the multiplying bit is first. So first of all, work out what 7 times 15 is before you add that on. And that's the same as with the number machines earlier. You evaluate as you go. So we're going to do 7 times 15, which is 105, then add the 150 on to get the £255 answer that person is going to be getting paid. But for part B, the numbers are different. It's the same formula that we're going to be putting in. Now this time we know what the wage is. The wage is 270. The number of hours of overtime I don't know. Now I'm going to put that as a question mark, and that's what I'm going to have to work out. Times 15 plus, and the basic pay is 180. So what I've done there is I've formed an equation, and I want to get the question mark on its own. In order to do that, the first thing I deal with, remember from solving equations, is whatever's attached to the unknown, the x, the y, or the question mark in this case, by a multiply or a divide, we leave until the end. So the first thing I have to deal with here is the plus 180, which when I get rid of that becomes minus 180 on the other side. So I'm going to have 270 minus 180 is question mark times 15. I can now evaluate what 270 minus 180 is. So I get 90 is question mark times 15. Now to get the question mark on its own, I need to undo, I need to get rid of a times 15. It becomes divide by 15. So 90 divided by 15 will equal the question mark. And because this is in context, we actually work out what that is. It's 6. Okay, so the number of hours of overtime is going to be 6. So you can see there that part A and part B are both worth 2 marks, but there's a lot more maths you've got to do in the part B. You'll see from the remaining questions that that method, or that's set up throughout. Part A is straightforward, part B you're going to be forming an equation. So with this, the context is buying a TV on credit. Here's your formula. Let's plug in what we know. Right, so we want to find the cost. That's going to equal 36 times the monthly payment, which in this case is £40, plus deposit, which is 30. When we evaluate that, the first thing we do is work out what 36 times 40 is. Then add on 30. So the cost of this TV is going to be £1,470. Second part, more complicated part, let's put in what we know. So the cost of buying we know is £1,330 equals 36 times the monthly payment, which we know, and we want to find the deposit. So our question mark is the deposit. So we can evaluate what 36 lots of 35 are. So let's do that. £1,260 So to get the question mark on its own, I'm adding 1260 here, so I need to subtract 1260. So 1330 take away 1260 is 70. So the question mark is 70. So that means the deposit is £70. Okay, moving on. Cost. Here we're looking for the formulas to find out how much it's going to cost for somebody to do some repairs. Cost is going to be number of hours 5 times 25 plus the call out charge, which is 50. Evaluate that, 125 plus 50, so that's going to be £175. Find the call out charge when the cost is 240. So I know the cost, I know the number of hours is 8, and it's the call out charge that I don't know. I can evaluate 8 lots of 25, it's 200 plus the question mark, it's adding 200, so to get the question mark on its own I need to subtract 200, so the question mark is 40. So call out charge is £40. Okay, so you should be getting a feel for the pattern of this now. Question 9 is to do with printing a book. There's your formula in words. Let's plug in what we know for part A. Printing cost is what we're working out. Number of books is 300 times the cost per book, which is 9, plus 2000. Evaluate the multiplication first, then add on the 2000. So that's 4,700. Part B, the harder bit. What are we trying to find here? So we know the printing cost is 5,000. Number of books is 600 times cost per book, which is what we want to find out, plus 2,000. Deal with any multiplication last, whatever's attached to the unknown last, so we can get rid of the add 2,000 by subtracting 2,000. 3,000 is 600 times question mark. Now we undo the times 600 by dividing by 600. So the question mark is going to be 5. So cost per book is £5. And then the last two questions in this bundle. So here we're hiring a hedge trimmer. Here's the formula. First of all, we want to find the cost when the number of days is 4 and the hiring fee is, oops, I've written that the wrong way around, 15. Okay, so the cost is going to be 4 lots of 21, which is 84, add 15, coming to £99. So that's the straightforward one. Hiring fee now, this is the equation bit. We know the cost is 230. The number of days is 10. We want to work out what the hiring fee is. I can evaluate that. It's adding 210, so I need to subtract 210 to get that unknown on its own. So the question mark is 20, so hiring fee is £20. And finally, buying a computer on credit, find the cost when the monthly payment is 18. So in this formula, it's monthly payment times 20 plus deposit, which is 50. Do the 18 times 20 first of all, which is 360, add 50, giving an answer of £410. Part B, cost of another computer is 520, and I want to find the monthly payment when the deposit is 60. So putting that information into that formula, that's the equation that we produce. Leave the times attached to the unknown until last. So I can subtract 60. 520 subtract 60 is 460 equals question mark times 20. Now I'm going to divide by 20. So the unknown is 23. So monthly payment is £23. Okay, so you can practically guarantee you're going to get a question on that. It might come up on the non-calculator, it might come up on the calculator aloud. It's going to have two parts. Practice those and you know you're going to score